I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. It wasn't exhaustion or some kind of paralysis. It was like the bed itself wouldn't even let me. Every time I tried to sit up, the frame dipped away, the mattress slanted, the whole thing slid out just out of reach or even balance. I gripped the side rail, but it bent down like rubber. The harder I pushed, the deeper it sagged. "Come on," I muttered to myself, trying to swing my leg over. My heels sank straight into the sheets like they were made of water. Something inside of me quickly got queasy. The air in the room felt weird, warped. The nightstand wasn't where it should have been. It leaned away from me, its drawer half open. But the harder I tried to reach it, the further it seemed to get. The lamp above it was flickering. There was messy clothes everywhere. I planted both hands on the bed and pushed, and for a second, it actually worked until the wall behind me then lurched. The room tilted, not violently, just enough to make me lose every sense of direction. The dresser slid upward into the ceiling, the floor pitched sideways. I clawed toward the door, but it crawled up the wall like some kind of insect. Nothing seemed to stay still. The house creaked and stretched and groaned as it settled into some kind of new shape. My stomach churned. I tried standing, but the floor folded under me like loose paper. I fell again, this time hitting something hard that gave way instantly, and before I could even scream, the room began to roll. The beds, the walls, everything turning over and over in slow motion. Oh my God. True raw panic then took a hold of me, and my vision tunneled. And then, just like that, it was gone. All of it. The room, the light, the sounds. Only blackness pressing in from every side. The darkness was heavy, like I was buried underneath it, and for a while, I couldn't tell if my eyes were even open. I reached out and brushed something solid, wood maybe, but it slipped away like it didn't want to be touched. My hand then hit the floor, but the floor shifted. I couldn't get a grip on anything. I pulled myself forward, dragging my knees through grit. My body didn't feel right. My head was pulsing with this static. My arms felt light, disconnected. I called out, but I could never actually hear my voice. When I lifted my head again, there were people now in the room, dozens of them, scattered through the shadows, faces that I knew, my family. "Mom?" She smiled at me beyond calm, and I felt like a kid again. The others were smiling too, my sister, my uncle, cousins that I hadn't seen in years, all of them standing there throughout the wreckage of my house. Then they started to clap, dozens of them, people I didn't recognize but instinctually knew that I was related to. "Keep going," my mom said to me. Her voice was easy to understand, but I don't actually remember hearing it. I didn't even think to question her, I just kept crawling toward them. Every moment set this dull pain throughout my feet, but I didn't stop. I wanted to reach them. The ground under me changed from carpet to plaster to something jagged. It scratched against my palms, and when I looked down, the floor was now gone. It was stone, gray, uneven, cracked. Weeds stuck out between the slabs, brushing against my arms as I moved. I blinked trying to stay oriented, but the shadows shifted every few seconds. "You're doing good," somebody said, but I couldn't see who it was. Their clapping grew louder, echoing off these unseen walls. It sounded hollow. The smiles started to look strained, like they were holding something back. Their eyes never even blinked. None of them stepped closer. They just stood there, watching. I called out, "Help me," but nobody moved. Pain flared in my ankles, brought me immediately to tears, or maybe they'd already been there the whole time. I rolled onto my back and tried to breathe. My legs were heavy, twisted. Every nerve in my body was buzzing. The air around me changed again. It was cooler now. Wind, definitely wind, but faint, real, brushing against my face. I looked up and saw light, not bright, not sunlight, but moving, white beams cutting across the dark. Flashlights? Was that really even wind? Where the hell am I? At first I thought they were far above me on ceiling that I couldn't see, but as the lights moved, the shapes of rocks then appeared. The light hit dust and shadows, outlining an incline, a slope. There were pine trees on either side of what I was seeing. A voice then shouted my name, and not in that calm, mystical tone from before. This one was exhausted, desperate. "Hold on! We see you!" The clapping then stopped. I looked around me and the figures were gone. No fading, no sound, only the dark and flicker of the light overhead. I tried to lift my head again. It throbbed. The world tilted and I saw the outline of ropes swinging down a slope. Shadows moved above me, real people this time, dropping down to me. I tried to speak, but my jaw would not open, and all I could taste was blood. The pain in my feet pulsed in time with my heartbeat. I looked down and saw the shredded remains of a climbing harness and a bone sticking through the fabric of my pants. My mind quickly started to catch up. I was not in a room. I wasn't crawling through my house. I was outside. The voice called out to me again. "Don't move, we're coming." I stared up at the lights blinking against the dirt falling from above, and for the first time, I felt everything and just wanted to pass out. When I opened up my eyes again, there was movement all around me. Boots, ropes, voice calling to each other. A headlight beam then cut through the dark and landed on my face. "Hey, holy fuck, he's alive," somebody said. It was Evan. His helmet light made his face look a little haunting. "Hey, don't move, man. You took a hell of a fall." All I could do was moan. He dropped down next to me. "Your tether gave out. Back up too. You went down 70, maybe 80 feet, dude. I honestly can't fucking believe you're alive." I tried to move, but the pain shot through my legs, like I stepped on a landmine. More blood in my throat. Everything from the waist down felt off by 45 degrees. It shifted, broken, swollen. "Dude, stay still," Evan said to me. "We got a rescue team on the way." I stared up at the sky, stars, a few wisps of clouds. The rocks around me were very unforgiving. How was I alive? I could see the broken trail of my fall, a path of scraped stone, snapped branches, and disturbed brush leading down to where I now lay. Bits of the memory began coming back. The strange room, the clapping, my family's faces. None of it made sense now, though. Had it all been noise in my head while my body was trying to hang on? I don't know. The team reached me within the hour. They checked my vitals, splinted my leg, and secured me to a stretcher. Each adjustment sent a pulse of pain up my spine, which terrified me. I thought I'd never walk again. That climb back out was really slow. Every few feet I felt the shift of the rope and hands supporting me. I tried to not think about how close I'd come to the edge of everything, but I couldn't help myself. At the top, red and blue lights were flickering against some of the rocks. Somebody covered me up with a blanket. I felt like they would do the same thing if I came up as nothing but a corpse too. Later on, they said it was a miracle. That fall should have killed me. Somehow I'd landed at just the right angle, hit just enough to brush the slow of the impact. Both ankles were shattered, one leg was broken, collarbone cracked, but I was alive. Recovery was long, months and months of physical therapy, metal rods, and chronic pain. I can walk now, mostly fine, but it took over a year of rest and rehab. For obvious reasons, I don't climb anymore, mostly because I can, but I am very thankful to be alive. Thankful for that super bizarre experience that may or may not have kept me among the living. I can still hear that applause in the back of my head. I'd been staying at Chris's place for around a week when things began to get weird. Her apartment wasn't much. Second floor, noisy street below, sketchy neighbors, but it beat the dump that I'd been renting on the south side. Her building always smelled like dog food. Still, it had AC and a door that actually locked, so I can't complain. That first Friday night, we fell asleep watching TV. I woke up around 2 in the morning with the sense that somebody else was in the room with me. Not the usual creaks or pipes. Something alive. The doorway was black and a shape filled it, unnaturally dark. For a few seconds I couldn't tell if it was a trick of the light, but then it moved. It didn't step forward though, it just kind of shifted like liquid shadow sliding across a wall. I sat up, heart pounding. The shape then drifted toward the kitchen, almost melting as it went. I quickly thought to myself that somebody's in the apartment. "Chris! Chris!" I whispered, shaking her, but nothing. She was dead asleep. I got up and followed the thing. The hallway felt unnaturally long. Every creak cranked to 11. The floorboards, my breathing, all super loud. In the kitchen, the dark shape slipped out of sight around the corner. I hit the light switch, but nothing there. Every window was locked, the front door too. I even checked the bathroom and the closet, both empty. For a long while, I stood there in this pale yellow light, trying to reason it away. A shadow, a dream, exhaustion? but something about it still creeped me the hell out. The next morning, I told Chris about what I saw. She didn't even act surprised, just sipped her coffee and said, "Yeah, well, weird stuff happens here sometimes." And that was that. No questions, no disbelief, like she'd been expecting me to say something. The next night, I locked everything again. The windows, doors, even the bathroom window that barely opened. At around 3 in the morning, I woke up to the sound of somebody walking. Not loud, but clear enough to separate it from being in another unit. I turned my head and saw it again, standing near the bedroom door. "Chris," I said quietly. She stirred, her eyes now open, and froze. "Yeah," she said to me. "I see it." The thing moved just enough to break its outline, and then it was gone. We lay there for hours waiting to hear a door, a step, anything else, but the place around us remained still. "So, is this normal?" I asked her. "No, it's not," was her response. It came back the next 2 nights, always between 2 and 4, always in that slow creeping fashion. I tried to catch it, but it was fucking impossible. By Sunday, neither of us were sleeping very much. I kept waking up in these short bursts, the air around me feeling heavy, my limbs feeling like lead. One of those times, I opened up my eyes and couldn't move at all. The figure was in fact there again, close enough to see the edges of its head against the glow of the window. I felt like I was being pinned to some kind of dissection board. It reached for me, hands, just black though, no detail, and closed around my neck. I tried to shout, but nothing came out. Everything in me strained to move, but nothing worked. The pressure built until it finally faded. I woke up to daylight, Chris sitting beside me, pale and shaking. "We're choking," she said. "Your eyes were open, but you weren't awake." My throat was hurting when I swallowed. I didn't have bruises, but I did have a copper taste that was lingering, almost like I bit my tongue or something. The next night, we stayed up, determined to finally see it clearly. Having been up for days at this point, we ended up falling asleep though. The clock passed midnight, and when I awoke, it was there again, standing on the bed. This time, something was in its hands, this dark block of something. I didn't even have time to react before it came down. First on Chris, then onto me, and everything went black. When I came to, the morning light was leaking in through the blinds. Chris was now on the floor, dazed, and she had blood in her hair. My head was throbbing, but we were both breathing. Neither of us really said much. We just kind of stared at the walls, trying to remember what the hell happened to us last night. The blood in her hair turned out to have actually come from her ear. There was this dry trail that was pretty evident. Chris cleaned herself up in the bathroom while I sat at the table, just kind of staring at the floor. That apartment felt possessed, and we were powerless against it. We decided to call the police, thinking maybe somebody had in fact broken in and drugged us, doing God knows what while we slept. I know it sounds far-fetched, but we had no other explanation. Before we made the call, somebody knocked. 2 cops stood outside, uniform, both looking like they'd been at it all day. Is everything okay in here?" one asked. I nodded him, suspiciously. "Why?" I figured this was going to be it. These guys were about to tell us there was in fact a madman loose in the area, harassing people all over. "There's a gas leak in the building," he said. "We're asking everybody to step out until maintenance finally gets it sealed." For a second I blinked and just stared at him. Then it all lined up, the choking, the dizziness, the metallic taste. Chris came up behind me. The officers told us to grab a few things and leave immediately. We packed what we could and went outside. The air tasted amazing. How long had we been in there? We watched the maintenance crew drag hoses toward the basement. The whole building was being evacuated. We stayed at my place that night. Guess what? No shadows, no noises, no waking up short of breath, just sleep. 2 days later, a woman from the gas company called. The leak had been a trickle, she said, seeping through the walls for weeks. People on our floor were reporting the same symptoms as us: headaches, confusion, vivid dreams, and hallucinations in some cases. That was enough for me. Chris ended up staying with me for quite some time. And occasionally, I still will wake up in the middle of the night, almost certain that I'm seeing somebody standing at the door. Then I open up the window, take a breath, and remind myself, take a breath. Senior ditch day is certified freedom. We skipped class, filled up a cooler, and headed for the river. Music thumped from a Bluetooth speaker. Beer cans would pile up, and every few minutes somebody screamed bloody murder from the cliff above the main swimming hole. No parents, no teachers, just water, noise, and us crazy-ass kids. Cole bumped my shoulder, grinning at me. One last memory before we're out of here, right? Yeah, I said. Let's make it a good one, dude. By mid-afternoon, we were sunburnt and half drunk. Somebody shouted about the box, that narrow chute upstream where the cool kids jumped, did backflips and shit. Most would wave it off, but not us. Cole didn't. He just gave me that look that said, come on, man. So the four of us left the group and hiked the rocky path along the cliff. The further we went, the louder the river got, a low roar among some stones. When we finally saw it, the box looked nothing like I remembered it. Just this tiny slit in the canyon, water surging through the darkness below. Cole whistled, stared down at the narrow pool below. Perfect, he said, but I had no idea what he was talking about. We dropped our stuff onto the rocks and just stared down it. The pool below looked deep enough, sure, but the chute that fed it was really narrow, barely wide enough for a person, at least at the bottom. The current was slamming through it, twisting white water between two black slabs before bursting back out into the pool. Cole was grinning at me like a maniac. You going first, or is it gonna be me? I wiped sweat from my face. You go. He laughed at me. No, man, you're lighter. I'll see how bad you screw it up. The others, Tanner and Alejandro, whipped out from behind us. They were halfway through another beer, shouting that we were pussies. So I stepped forward. I'd done this once before, a couple of summers back, and the memory was still sweet. Cold water, hard rush, everybody cheering. It could be done, and I'll do it again. I lined up, toes on the edge, heart banging. Then I sent it. For half a second, there was nothing but air, that full free fall. The river then swallowed me, the cold froth then swallowed me up next, turning me around, bubbles tearing past my face. When I broke the surface, I came up laughing. I made it. Hell yeah! Tanner yelled at me from above. Cole was already on the edge. 10 out of 10. Looks good, bro. He called at me. Hey, line it up straight. I shouted back at him. Don't overjump. But he was already gone. The sound he made when he hit the side was like a branch snapping, a flat, wet crack, then another. His body pinwheeled shoulder first into the opposite wall before vanishing into the water beside me. He had shattered his arms and legs on the way down, pinballing from one wall into the other. Cole! I drove toward him, right where he landed. The current pushed him under, limbs totally useless now. I caught him by the elbow and felt his arm splinter in my hand. He was still trying to use his arms and legs to tread water, despite them being broken all over. I could see blood staining the water around us. Holy shit. His face was white, his mouth was open and closing, but nothing was coming out, no scream, no talking. One of his arms was bent the wrong way entirely, but his leg, holy fuck, his leg, it just hung loose, a compound fracture poking through like a tent pole. Shit, dude, don't move, don't move, I said to him. Quit kicking, dude. He tried to speak, but he kept getting mouthfuls of water. I can't. I got you, I said, my hands slipping under his armpits. His body was shaking, broken all over. Every movement made this sound like bone scraping against bone. I kept pulling, kept talking, anything to keep him with me. Above, the others were screaming that they were calling 911 to hold him there. Cole's head was lolling back and forth. Don't. Then his face went underwater. I yanked his head back up, and the water around us was turning red quickly. It spread out in this big cloud, curling away downstream. I pressed his broken arm against his chest, trying to stop the bleeding. I felt him go limp from the pain. He was passing out before we even got to shore. I yelled at him to stay with me. His eyes then rolled back. He was hardly breathing. I heard sirens echoing somewhere above the canyon, fading in and out with the roar of the river. Cole was laying half in the water, half on the rocks, barely even conscious. I pressed my shirt against his leg, but the blood kept coming, bones poking through in 2 places. "Hang on, man, hang on, they're coming." He gave me the shaky laugh. "That sucked. What happened?" "You overshot it." "Yeah, guess I did." Alejandro yelled at us from the cliff, telling us the rescue's on the way, that they're cutting down the service trail. Cole tried to look over at him, but I held his head still. "Dude, don't move. It isn't worth it." He blinked, going in and out again. He looked like a smashed insect. "You promise me you won't let me drown." "You're not drowning, dumbass. You're not even in the water anymore." He then went silent. The river surged around us as Cole slipped fully into shock. The rescue team then showed up on the opposite ledge. Helmets, ropes, orange jackets. They shouted orders, started crossing the river, and within minutes, had him in the stretcher. I stepped back and let them take over. Cole would survive. Months of surgery, pins, rehab, but he made it. Both arms and both legs were broken. They said if I hadn't been down there to keep him afloat, he would have definitely drowned, died for sure. I actually went back to the box later that summer. There was a group of kids there talking about jumping in, but I noticed all of them were dry. "You guys jump yet?" I asked them. "Hell no, man. We heard a kid died here." That was actually shocking to hear it out loud, but words get twisted, you know. The rumors about Cole the rest of the year were pretty awful. "Yeah," was all I said to them. "Better be careful."